What's happening?
This is the podcast number 3 for our FYE groups. This, I believe, essay with Yancy's essay.
Okay, so with my essay, I decided to talk a little bit about identity, more specifically my identity as a African American man. Basically, in my earlier years, I struggled tremendously with my identity as African American, and often I found myself wishing to be anybody else besides the person I thought myself to be. Often I felt like I didn't have a place anywhere, just because of my race, my personality, my interests. Growing up, I felt different. I was practically born and raised in Jonesboro my entire life, away from family, and Jonesboro is, for the most part, traditionally a white community, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say I picked up a little bit of the
dialect, and stuff.
Sort of. I always most of my friends growing up were white, and so I felt like I had to act a certain way just to be perceived as normal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, growing up, I always had a intense desire for knowledge, and I prided myself in academics. So as I grew up in junior high and high school, I always took advanced placement and honors courses for the fun of it.
For the fun of it.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked just learning as much as I can and stuff. And oftentimes I saw it as a challenge just to see which of my friends could get the highest GPA. I ended up with a 4.1, so
I barely made my 3.6.
Knowledge is power, though.
Knowledge is power if you can retain said knowledge.
It is a lot of memory, but yes.
Oof.
Yeah, never could be Josh though, but I'm fine doing with second place.
Josh was whiny about his GPA. There was our valedictorian dude. He was in competition with this other chick about who was gonna be valedictorian, and she finally was just like, I'm just gonna let him have it if he's gonna be this whiny about it.
Yeah, and Nelson was a pretty high academic place. Even though I had a 4.1 GPA, I was still number 11 in my graduating class.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, there were 50 honors grads. I was dead last. I was dead last in honor grads, and actually the day of graduation, they're like, actually surprised you're not graduating with honors. So they still gave me the little sash thing to wear, but they're like, you can't sit with the honors and you're not graduating honors because I think you had to have a 3.6 and I had a 3.59 or something.
I think it was a
insane
3.75 to be honest, or probably. I think so.
It was something like that, but they said that I had just 0.01 off of what it should be, so I wasn't graduating with honors. That's how ridiculous Nettleton was about their academics and stuff.
Yeah. But basically, I took honors classes and advanced placement courses for the fun of it. Though, as each year passed, I noticed that the number of peers within my class sharing the same ethnicity or race, so to speak, decreased.
Hey, Hannah.
Hey, what's up, Holmes?
We talking about Yancy's essay, so come on in.
But yeah, I said pretty much as each year passed, I noticed that the number of peers with my same race seemed to dwindle as I progressed through school.
Mm-hmm.
And by my junior year of high school, and even a little bit for my sophomore year, it wasn't uncommon to find myself as the only black male in any of my upper level classes. And at times, I was usually the only person of color, at all, in most of my classes. Even in college right now, in our Making Connections class, I'm the only black person in the entire class.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to him about some of the stuff that we had talked about in sociology the other day, with culturally, the regions that we're living in and how there's white flight.
Yeah. And
stuff like that. And I kind of asked him, do you think that, our culture today has something to do with, we were talking about deviance labeling.
Yeah.
So deviance labeling, I don't know if you've heard about this. When you label somebody as something, they like internalize
Realize
that.
it.
Like they think that that is exactly who they are. Like that's exactly how they are. So if I'm like Eli's a bad person, then Eli would just be like, I'm a terrible person.
I'm an
Like
asshole.
I'm awful. So do you think that like that has something to do with why there's not as many African American students in our advanced classes?
I feel like that plays a part in it. Like I said yesterday during our conversation, I said like it's pretty nuanced. It like has a varying degree of factors such as your background. Not to say financing, but like your social stat or economic status can play like a small hand in it. And there's just like a whole bunch of factors that includes in that. I'm not really knowledgeable enough in the field to like outright give a statement, but in my personal opinion, I feel like there's certain factors that play into that.
Yeah, because I don't know what school Eli, like you or Hannah, went to. I don't know what high school y'all went to, but Nettleton's a predominantly African American school.
Yeah, I played them in like sports.
Yeah, so for our advanced placement classes to not have as many African American students in it, I feel like that really says something about like culturally.
Yeah.
How we treat African American students and how that really does affect how they think about themselves. Like they think they're not smart enough to take advanced placement classes.
True. To be honest, I feel like the only classes that I wasn't the only African American was APUSH, of course, World Comp 1 and 2, and one other class. But then again, all those classes, the other people who were African Americans were female, so I was still a minority, so to speak, in that aspect. And like to be honest, I tried not to let it get to me, like saying I'm just fitting in, like I'm smart enough to be in this class, therefore I will be in this class. But it was kind of challenging not to feel like out of place. I feel like in any social environment. If you're a minority in a predominantly predominant group that's not of your same race or ethnicity, you can feel sort of out of place to some small degree. I'm not sure if anybody else feels like that, but just like it was kind of odd at certain times. Of course, like especially like. We were talking about it in APUSH whenever we were talking about like slavery and stuff during that time. I would usually have a couple of people like look at me
to
like
see your reaction.
Like turn around.
Yeah, it was probably subconsciously, but also like if people said like a black joke or something, I would catch a few people like staring at me just to see, oh, like how is he gonna gauge this? What do you think he thinks about it? And I try not to get it, try not to let it get to me all the time, but it always felt sort of odd to some degree.
Always felt kind of targeted a little bit, even if it wasn't like purpose. Yeah.
Other than like academics, I also felt myself being separated from my own race. And often felt like I disappointed like family and friends from subverting the preconceived and rather arbitrary ideals of how a black person should behave. Case in point. In high school, people always say that I was like the whitest black guy ever, like right behind Obama and Tiger Woods. It was sort of funny. I usually got called Cookie from Next to Classified just because of the nerdy like black guy stereotype.
Yeah, and like I know that you for like our prom and stuff with the senior walk and all that, you went with like that huge group of people, and I'm pretty sure you and Michaela were the only African Americans in that group.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest,
there's Jasperine.
Yeah.
She's Asian.
Truth be told, I felt like I was honestly sort of lucky, because I felt like my main like group of friends was pretty diverse in the sense where I wasn't the only minority, so to speak, and that was like pretty fun, but like or pretty nice to like feel like I'm not like totally alone. There's other people
good.
like in my group like going through like similar things, which was nice. But
that's good.
Like I said, I usually would joke about it myself, like try to not make it a big deal of everything. And to be honest, some of it was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. There's times that I would often laugh, but at other
that
times
you can find humor in it.
Well, yeah, I like to be honest. Like I feel like comedy like is a great way of making light of a situation
To
or
cope with it.
yeah. But yeah, at times like even though it was funny, at other times I felt like um,
Do you ever feel like you had to prove yourself
Yeah.
in both aspects?
yeah, like especially like during academics, like especially since I was a minority, I felt like I had to prove, hey, I'm just as smart as everybody here. Just do my best, and at times where it did seem fun, oftentimes I also felt like a burden. The classes that I felt like I should enjoy and I have enjoyed for a long time, I felt like I had to like go the extra mile just to prove something.
Yeah.
So
And I know that I read your essay and we talked about it yesterday, but I know they you said that you felt a lot of you felt like you disappointed your family because you weren't that big into sports.
yeah,
They were.
my family like going back like a long way. My family often, as much as I pride myself in like academics and the arts and stuff, they're just as big, if not more so, into sports. Pretty much, especially like on my dad's side, pretty much every member of my family played at least one sport in high school or junior high, oftentimes two. And it was just this unspoken rule that we like when we all get together, we all like either play football, play basketball, or watch basketball or football.
So you're kind of the opposite of Eli's situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fairly decent at sports, and I don't like really have a problem with playing. Like if somebody says, "Hey, you want to play soccer? Hey, do you want to play basketball?" I'm like, sure, okay, but I don't really have like an interest in it, like competitive wise. I'm just sort of use it as an aspect to like just hang out with friends, I guess. And if they want to do that, then I'll try to support them just so I can have fun. But it was never really like my cup of tea, to be honest. And speak like especially my dad, he was a part of basketball, football, and track, and so I felt like whenever I told him that, hey, I don't have like really an interest in in sports, especially like since he tried my entire life to like get me to play soccer, try to get me to play basketball,
Oh, were you part of the
football.
little City Stars like soccer thing?
Yeah,
I swear everybody I know was.
That's it.
Everybody did the City Stars soccer.
yeah. And to be honest, like 7th grade year, I tried a year of football just because like my dad, he wanted me to try at least one sport. Well, I did that and cross country for a little bit. And cross country like was fun to some aspect, but I just feel like it wasn't really for me. And whenever I actually told my dad that, when I told him that, I could see he was a tad bit disappointed just because my entire family's been into sports their entire life, and so it was kind of a disappointment to him. He still is pretty supportive, like especially how I want to be in anime when I grow up, and I am really into like math and the academics.
Yeah.
But I always feel myself like set apart whenever all of my like cousins and brothers and like my uncles and stuff want to do like watch sports or like play or something like that. I always like have to set myself apart just because like truth be told, it's not anything that I have a real like interest in.
Yeah. So
Also,
you know that they're proud of you, but you also kind of feel like there's still a little bit of.
yeah, I feel like I don't know, like I feel like there should like, or especially like growing up, I felt like I was sort of different. Like, is there anything I need to be doing? And I often would like try to like participate a little bit just to like appease them and sort of like to have a place to fit in with family. But like in the back of my mind, I always felt like this isn't really like what I'm like truly interested in, and so I sort of started to like branch apart from that, and they're a little bit more understanding now, but there's like always still some sort of like dissonance between us when it comes to like athletics and stuff. So also like with friends and stuff, like, and it's also like feeds into like these stereotypes. People are like, hey, what kind of rap music do you listen to, or like do you listen to R&B and stuff? And I'm like, I like honestly I can't tell you the amount of times people are shocked when I say I'm more into like classic stuff like jazz and swing music, like from the 50s
sure.
and 60s.
Me and Eli listen to a lot more rap than you do.
Yeah.
And R&B a lot too, though.
Yeah, like truly so, like I like it to some degree, but I'd much rather prefer like jazz music,
If you'll
rock,
listen to it if
indie.
it's on,
Like
but
smooth
you're not
stuff.
gonna-
Yeah. truly, like, this kind of reminds me of a time when we were on a long road trip, and I actually mentioned it the other day where my family would take turns like playing music. It was my mom and my two other brothers, and we would like change like the music constantly. Like they would like play like a rap song or like R&B or something like along those lines. And whenever it got to me, I would like kind of shrink back. I was like, "You guys probably aren't like interested in the music that I'm listening to, that I listen to." And my mom was like, "Sure, it's fine. Like it's okay." And I remember it was a Frank Sinatra song, "Fly Me to the Moon."
Oh, that's what you played?
Yeah.
That song has become so mainstream now.
Yeah. But like it was kind of weird. Like my like brothers, they obviously weren't into it. They were like my brothers.
Sat back and they were like,
Yeah, like they actually like put in their earbuds until like it looked like. But like it was kind of weird. Like every time like we lit like in the car together, I always just put in my headphones and just like listen to my own music.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, that song is like one of the most requested ones at the skating rink now. Oh yeah, they play a lot of Frank Sinatra.
It's a
on
great
there.
song. It
Yeah.
really is.
But
Yeah.
we play a lot of like rap and hip hop because it's upbeat music that people want to fast skate to.
Yeah.
And then we get done playing like Post Malone and Logic and Eminem, and then there's Frank Sinatra, and then
Dean Martin, Louis Prima, Louis Armstrong, that kind of stuff.
There will be like little jazz songs, and then some kids will come up to me and they're like, "Why are you playing this crap? I don't want it." And I was like, "Oh, it's because that kid requested it."
You just lie.
There's like half the rink wants you to play the Frank Sinatra, and then the other half is like, "No, what is this?" Like nobody wants it. I don't want to hear any of it. I hear it all too much.
Yeah.
Alright, so I got a question. So like
Yeah.
for my situation, like athletics was like kind of my way out because I grew up in a very bad drug infested neighborhood, like crimes happening day in and day out, and that was like kind of my way out. Like after school, I just go to my friend's house and play basketball until midnight or something like that. That's just what I did every day. And as I got older and moved away from that city, sports was just like the only thing that was fun to me. I didn't have anything else to do but play video games, but like, because I don't like people.
Mhm.
People are annoying.
Yeah.
That's about it. So do you feel the same way about like academics or art?
Yeah, like pretty much like a lot of my friends know that I'm like really into art. I actually want to be like an animator or a storyboard artist, like for either like a movie or a television like network.
Yeah.
But like oftentimes like and it like feeds into a little bit more like art. It's just been something I used to like to cope with everything, like with either like stress or stuff like that, or even whenever I'm just like feeling a little bit bored and I just need something to do. Like art has always been something that I've been interested in doing. Same thing for academics. I can't like tell you the amount of times where I just figure out like math problems to do in my head, or like just because I was bored for the fun of it. And like truth be told, like it kind of helps me at work. Like I'm a cashier, like for the most part.
Yeah.
And by the time like I will read them their total, and by the time they like put out like the amount of money they have, I can already tell them the total without like putting in the register. And
I use that calculator on that register like a motherfucker. I'm like, I don't know how much it's. Let me just. And like I know in biology we get done with our quizzes in lab, and Yancy automatically like looks at the microscope and just like sketches it on the back of his quiz.
yeah, like it's just like really just like boring when it comes to that stuff. But like I really see art in like math like is like a big factor in it. So like willing, if everything goes well, I'm actually gonna try to like double major in animation and math. Truth be told, or at least get a minor in math if possible.
I mean, if you do get a minor, like if you just want to see how it goes, we have a certain like number of elective hours that we have to fill, and it's the same amount of hours for a minor. Okay. So if you just wanted to go ahead and get your minor in math, you could actually build off of your minor and turn it into a major later on if you're just, for the fun of it and like feeling like it. But yeah, you could definitely do that. I did talk to, because that's what I was planning on doing with sociology. I didn't want to do another major just yet because it's only my first year, but I did declare my minor.
True. Okay, I'll wrap this up really quick.
15 minutes.
20.
But yeah, like truth be told, like at like all these things that kind of like make me struggle with my identity a lot. Feeding back into what I said earlier, but after years of looking like introspectively, basically just seeing, trying to find out who I am like as a person, and I'm still coming to terms with it, to be honest. But I feel like that I've come to love like the person who I am, like everything included, my race, like my background, upbringing, my personality, interests. All these things feed together to make me who I am.
Fuck yeah.
And to be honest, I like thinking long and hard on it. I feel like even though I do say there's some things that I'm lacking in, I wouldn't like trade who I am for anything. And so I believe that despite who you are, who you come from, what you're into, you should be proud of yourself and proudly like show that as your identity. And just learn to love, like, because you only have one you, so you should love to learn yourself, to love yourself as best you can. So
That's good. Oh, nice message. Cute. All right.